Hey, this is Cavallo from datingadviceguru.com and datingfire.com. You know, there's a certain fascination with knowing how to text a guy to, well, get him turned on. If you want to know how to talk dirty to a guy, texting him, or just know how to text him so that he pays attention to you and desires you, well, that's what I'm going to talk about today in this video. Especially now, if you can't be near him, you got to know how to text him. But you know, before we lay out the ground rules, do the big three. What are they? Of course, number one, make sure you like and subscribe to the videos. Why wouldn't you if you like them? Number two, make sure you turn on notifications so you know when the next one comes out. And number three, if you have any questions or if you want to, I don't know, suggest a video down below in the comment section underneath this, go for it. In order to text a guy to get him to pay attention to you, you got to be careful about not being too vulgar. This is the trick of texting dirty. Ironically, if you're a woman, you don't want to be too dirty, because if you do, you risk turning the guy off just as easily as turning him on. Now, there is a fine line between dirty and gross when it comes to texting. Let's talk about that for a second. How to talk dirty in text without turning him off. Let's be honest. If it were up to you, you probably wouldn't be sexting a guy, right? You'd much rather have him right there with you, telling you how he feels about you and how much he wants you. Doesn't that sound much more interesting? Much better than playing some kind of teenager game of, look at me, look at me. Well, the truth is that you know that men need sexual attention to really pay attention to you, which kind of goes against what you're trying to do here. As much as you hear the women's magazines tell you to be really explicit and sexual with a guy in text, if you do, you're going to wear out your welcome really quickly. Here's why. Men love the chase. Now, you already know this, but chances are you didn't know how to use it effectively in this day and age, especially with all the electronic communications around. Well, most women have been trained to be a little bit too easy when it comes to showing sexual interest in a guy. But what a man really wants is to be teased effectively with texting. The less he gets, the more he wants. I want you to write that down somewhere and read it every single day, because it's going to impress on you the most important rule of getting a guy to want you and desire you. The less a man gets, the more he wants from you. And if you keep putting sexual conversation out there, well, that's all he's going to think of you for, his booty call. And I'm pretty sure that's not how you want him to think about you. Well, okay, not the only way you want him to think about you, but rest assured, I'm going to give you some really solid examples of texts here, but they're not going to be vulgar or crass. They're going to be texts that you can send to almost any guy and not risk turning him off. Because one of the things that men find to turn off is when a woman changes her personality in different situations. And many women act all sexy and flirty and aggressive when he's not around, but when he's with her, she acts like a completely different person. Guys hate this turnaround thing when we're dating, and we also feel betrayed when we marry a woman and then she changes from the woman that we knew when we were dating her. So take a second to really think about what your motives are for learning how to talk dirty in text with a guy. Is it to get attention? Is it to get him to pay a lot more attention to you? Is it to win him back? Is it to just get him to respond to you? Or is it to get him to talk to you at all? I mean, any of those reasons is fine if it's done to win-win the guy. So what is win-win? Well, that's when both of you come out ahead. Dirty text number one, let's tell him about the girls. One of the best texts you can send is this one. Did I tell you what I named my boobs? It's very funny, playful, and there isn't a guy on the planet who wouldn't want to know. Plus, you get to get him thinking about your boobs. I mean, that's always a good thing, right? Little hint here, psst, guys love boobs. Dirty text number two is dreamer. One of the most important things you can do with a dirty text is to engage a guy's curiosity, not satisfy it. That's huge. Really pay attention to what I just said there. It's not to satisfy his curiosity. Now, when you have a guy curious about you, he's thinking about you, which creates crystallization in his mind. Crystallization is something I teach in my programs. Crystallization is when you embed yourself in his mind and in his thoughts, making him think about you and fantasize about you more often, which creates love and desire. And this doesn't happen when you're near him, which might be a little bit of a shock to you. Crystallization happens when he's alone or not near you and he wants to be near you. And that gives him the opportunity to just fantasize or just daydream. Here's the text. Oh my God, you were in my dream last night. Super simple, stupid text. And the secret trick to that text is that you send it and then you wait for at least an hour to reply to whatever he sends back to you, because he's going to respond right away. You wait after that. Okay, he's gonna want to know details. He's gonna want to know what kind of sexy details were in the dream. What was the dream about? What were you guys doing? And if you give him the details too soon, you're gonna ruin the effect. I guarantee you he will text you with something like, "What was it?" or something like that. He's gonna push to get you to tell him. And this text is also a great way to find out if he's really into you or not. If he doesn't show curiosity about what you were dreaming, he's not interested in you. Hate to say it. Let me say it again. The point of a dirty text is to engage his curiosity, not satisfy it. Dirty text number 3 is foreshadowing. One of the best things you can do is to give him a hint of something that will happen later. Just like in stories, we call this, foreshadowing, right? Where we hint at what's going to happen. The kind of things you want to foreshadow are the things he wants to experience. Of course, the best thing is fun, sexy time. Here's a text that works like gangbusters. Can't wait to see you later. Just wait till you see what I've got planned. All you do is hint at the naughty time you're going to have with each other. You don't have to be specific at all. In fact, you don't want to tell him anything about what to expect. Again, we're teasing a little bit. It should be a nice surprise. And he'll forget about that whole text at all when he's in your presence again, okay? So you don't have to worry about him quizzing you later on. Well, you said this in your text. Don't worry about that. He's not going to care once he's actually there with you. So you can make up and pretty much do anything you want when you two finally get together. Dirty text number 4 is more fantasy. If you get the opportunity, you should always make a guy think about you. And it's so easy to do. Here's another great fantasy text. Do you think I should wear my skirt or my tight jeans? Now, obviously you do this like before a date or when you're going to see him. And what this does is it gets him thinking about you. He has to picture you to imagine you in the skirt or in the jeans. And believe me, he won't just stop thinking about you there. It will probably turn into a nice long daydream. Of course, his answer doesn't matter. It's what he does with his imagination, right? That question, what does it do with his imagination? It brings you up in there. By the way, there's a bonus here. If you want to really use this tip, do the opposite of whatever he says in his text. If he says skirt, you dress up in jeans. If he says jeans, you dress up in skirt. A man wants to know that you have your own ability to decide for yourself. And when you make a choice like this for yourself, in contradiction to what he said, he's going to consider it a healthy challenge. You're showing a little bit of pushback, a little bit of spunk. And that challenge will create even more attraction in him. Okay, dirty text number 5, give him some goga. Goga is girl on girl action. Of course, this is one of the things that every guy has in his fantasies, and that's why you see it all the time in adult movies. It's a great thing to use in dirty text to get a guy's attention. So try this one out for size. Does the idea of me with another girl turn you on a little or a lot? Now, of course, you're not committing to anything here. You're not saying you're going to actually do it. You're just playing with the idea and the image in his head. And again, what you're doing is planting these seeds in his thoughts to grow into huge orchards of fantasies and ideas for him to spend his time obsessing about. Remember the crystallization? Here's another text that triggers the same kind of fantasy thinking. Threesomes, good, bad, or other. Again, we're not looking for an answer with these texts. You're not committing yourself. You're not doing anything. You're just basically looking for the kind of thinking that gets him thinking about you. Dirty text number 6 is fantasy. Again, okay, so we're going to keep hitting this one because fantasy texts are the best. Here's another great fantasy text. Have you ever heard of going commando? Now, of course, every guy knows what that is. It's when you don't wear underwear under your pants, and it's a guy term. He'll probably say that he has, and then you say, guess what I'm doing today? Again, for maximum effect, don't respond to whatever he texts you after that. Know when to stop texting back. That's really the most important skill you can learn. Let a man's emotions run wild. Stop falling victim to your expectation of his expectation. But if I don't text him back right away, he's going to stop liking me. Doesn't happen. Okay, dirty text number 7, just ask. Here's another great one to start dialogue that can turn into a naughty sexting session. What is the naughtiest fantasy you've ever had? I dare you to shock me. Now, of course, don't text him this one unless you're prepared for whatever it is he comes up with, right? The worst thing you can possibly do is ask a guy a question and then turn around and either shame him or make him feel bad about a truthful answer or get mad at him for it. This particular text is great at starting up a conversation in a way to kind of start the flirting and get the sexual innuendo going. Dirty text number 8, Get random. Another really powerful way to send dirty texts is to just text bomb him. That's when you send him something out of the blue that will make him completely turn his attention to you, right? It's a real head turner. Here's an example. Sometimes I just like the feeling of being face down on the bed, my face pressed into the pillow. Okay, obviously you see where that one's going, right? Not only is that one a great image for him, it will leave him thinking about it for days. Now, I'm going to leave the last text as a little teaser for you, a little hook. Go on over to the site, go on over to datingfire.com, which brings you to the main site, and you can check out the article there and get all the texts and the final one that I didn't share with you here. Let me tell you about some quick dirty text mistakes though, because this is really important. It's probably the most important part of this video. Of course, there's a ton of mistakes that women make when they're texting guys, and most of them typically happen when she tries to talk dirty with him. For the most part, most women don't feel very comfortable talking dirty. It feels a little bit weird, foreign, sometimes kind of creepy. A lot of women's magazines make it sound like it's the most natural thing for women to do, but it's not. There are very few women who feel really comfortable texting dirty. So let's talk about some of those mistakes so that you don't make them. Mistake number one, asking questions you can't handle. I kind of hinted at this one before, right? One of the most common mistakes that women make is to ask a question that they really don't want the answer to. A lot of women ask a question that they're curious about, but they just can't handle the answer. For example, how many women he slept with. You know what to do when he asks you about that, right? What your number is, but he doesn't know what to do when you ask it of him. So when you're texting, don't ask those kinds of questions. Mostly because he can't answer them in any other way other than being truthful and factual, which means you're probably going to get upset with whatever it is he says. This is one of those things that we do to self-sabotage ourselves. Men do this one too, only men don't understand when they probably should just be quiet and fudge the truth a little bit. Women understand how to handle them. Mistake number two is don't jump the fence. What I mean by don't jump the fence is this. These messages are meant for texting. You have to be careful if you're going to use them in another medium. This is why I created my Passion Phrases program, by the way, because I explain, first of all, how to talk dirty to a guy and how to text him dirty correctly. Again, a lot of women try to use these things in things like Facebook or email, or they try and chat or instant message, and they don't work the same. You have to think about how he's going to be viewing your message. What will he be doing when he reads it? Who is he going to be with? What will he be thinking about? What will his mood be? So be careful that you don't use the message in the wrong medium. Texting is meant to be slow, one-way communication, back and forth. It's the duration in between the messages that gives texting its impact. Number three mistake is don't jump the gun. You're probably going to want to send him sexy messages right away, but stop for a second and be sure you are meeting him where he is, okay, where he's at. He may not be the kind of guy that really digs dirty text messages. It happens, it really does. We find this out basically to test the waters first to figure out if he's this kind of guy. Start out with a light text like this. Was just thinking about you today. That's the lightest kind of sexual innuendo text that you can go, because from here, he's either going to choose one of two directions, right? See how he responds to that, because most men are pretty eager to go down the naughty avenue really quickly. And if he doesn't go that way, if he goes another way, then you know maybe you got to wait. Try it again later on. Mistake number four is don't change yourself. Sometimes in an effort to meet a man's expectations, a woman will present herself as somebody that she's not. We all do this from time to time. If you find yourself using words that are uncomfortable for you, rethink them. Don't send them in a text if they're not really you. If you don't like to use slang or vulgar words, no problem. Simply modify them to fit your personality. You still want to be authentic when talking dirty in text, okay? Somehow it still has to connect to who you actually are. You don't have to use crude language to be sexy in texting. Simply use a clever turn of phrase or a euphemism. Use words that kind of could go either way, right? But also keep in mind, if you're more of the straight-laced librarian type, if you do decide to get a little raunchy with him, that's probably going to have a really big impact because it's so out of character for you. Those little tastes of a different you will make him more interested. And finally, mistake number five is be careful with your lens. I have to remind you once again to be careful when sending sexy images on the internet. These days, anybody can hack your phone. Trust me, I've had it happen to me. I've had other things hacked into. Anything can happen to reveal those pictures to the public. You need to make sure that your face is never in the image if you do send a sexy image. You want to play safe when you use this method of making a guy desire you. Sometimes we can go a bit too far when it comes to sexual behavior. So be careful with your texting so that you can feel safe about where it's going to take both of you. Because the trick here really isn't the texting part. It's not knowing what to say. It's knowing how to do it. It's the how that is the most important part for you to learn. I could give you words here all day. I could give you little phrases, but if you use them in the wrong context or if they don't sound like you, he's going to go, what? It's going to make one of those, the needle being scratched across a record sound. It's not going to really gel with him. It's not going to meet him where he is, and he's going to go, what? That doesn't sound right. And of course, you're going to break the connection, because the connection, that loop you create with a guy, the emotional resonant loop you create with a man, is the most important thing you can set up. Most women never learn this about guys. They never learn the what to say to him. They never learn the how to use it to make it work. Guys are extremely easy to get to desire you. What they aren't is simple, okay? We're not simple creatures. We're not stupid. We do get these things on a certain level. Men have their own instincts that they can use to figure you out. And if you're just trying cheap little tricks, just kind of like throwing stuff on a wall and seeing what sticks, it's not going to work. That's why you need a very specific system to know how to talk to a guy, to create that connection, and in any medium. You can do it by texting, you can do it by email, you can do it in a chat, you can do it any way you want if you know how it works. I believe in that saying about giving a person a fish, you're only going to feed them for that day. But if you teach them how to fish, you feed them for their life, okay? You feed them for a lifetime. That's what I do with my programs. I'm going to show you how to connect with any guy you want. You can learn what every type of guy thinks, how they react to women, and how he's going to respond to you so that you can keep him. Both sides, men and women, are guilty of the same criminal fault when it comes to relationships. We treat the other gender as if they're all the same, and they're not. If you understand how a guy works, know how to figure him out, you're going to know the key to unlocking his heart. It might even be better to say that you'll know the combination, because that's really the secret right there. Every guy has a different combination. When you know it, you can unlock any of them. It's kind of like a master code to get into a guy's heart and his love. Now, if you want to know how to do that, I can show you. I've got programs that can show you how to do this, but specifically, if you're interested in how to text a guy more effectively, you probably want to know how to communicate with him more effectively too. You want to know how to talk to him in a way that really lights him up, that gets his emotions working for you and gets him feeling for you too. That's why I created the Passion Phrases program, because I show you in there exactly how to flip a man's obsession switch. That's the critical thing right there. Do you know how to get a guy to go, yeah, she's okay? Or do you know how to get a guy to the point where he will almost stalk you? He's going to be that interested in you. He's going to have that much desire for you that he won't be able to control himself. That's the level of control and power you want to have over a guy's interest in you. And I can show you how to do it. It's very simple. You've got to know what these passion phrases are. These are just specific combinations of words that open up a man's heart. They get him to talk to you. They get him to feel for you. And they get him feeling safe and bonded and connected to you. If you're just talking to a guy like you would talk to a woman, you're not getting it. And there's a good chance you're ruining every opportunity that's coming your way when it comes to guys. If you're having problems keeping a guy committed and interested in you, if he keeps pulling away from you, if there's distance that keeps creeping into your relationships, this is the reason why, and you got to fix it. So if you want to learn how to do that, just go on to the little link you see below me here. That's right, datingfire.com/obsession. That's datingfire.com/obsession. Learn the way to talk to guys, to get him to open up to you, to get him to feel connected to you, and to really flip that obsession switch. It works. Trust me, I'm a guy. I've been doing this for close to 20 years now, and this is what I bring to women. I show you exactly how men think from a guy's perspective. I've got the insider knowledge. I used to coach guys, and I used to get all the information straight from the source. That's right, guys like me, guys not like me, all kinds of guys. And what I did was I took notes on every single thing they said, and then I started to realize, yes, there is a pattern here, and it's something I could actually teach women, because my ultimate goal is to bring men and women together. It's not so that we trick each other, it's not so that we try and get the better of each other, it's because I want you to have a win-win relationship, like I was talking about earlier. You want it to win for both people. If you want to be able to flip that obsession switch, if you want to know how to make a man really feel that deep sense of connection and longing for you, then you owe it to yourself. Go on over to datingfire.com/obsession. And before you run away, make sure you do the big 3. If you like this video, hey, why wouldn't you want to get more of them, right? Make sure you like them, subscribe, and turn on the notifications while you're at it so that you know when the next one comes out. And number 3, make sure you leave any questions or comments in that section below. Let me know if you want a specific video on a specific topic. Hey, this is Cavallo from datingfire.com and datingadviceguru.com. As always, live and love with passion.